Hello and welcome to the first class of Audit. I'm sure you guys enjoyed the intro session and are now so excited to know more about the 10 GAAS I introduced you to. So all you future CPAs out here, do you still remember my general tip to you? For you to go to the client site, get there to the field, take a field pick, come back and report all clean and dirty elements. Guys, you are CPAs, you come back to report everything clean, and especially if there's anything dirty. So guys, now you know that whenever you go out on an audit, you follow the GAAS standards, the generally accepted auditing standards. Now, as a CPA, as a certified public accountant, you must also adhere to the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct. Now, this code basically applies to any service that you provide as CPAs, not just audit service, but this code applies to every service. Let's say you're doing test engagements, you're doing reviews, you're doing compilations. So all those services, you need to make sure that you adhere to the AICPA code. Once again, so you have the 10 GAAS that you follow on audit engagements. You have the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct, that's the ethical code that you must adhere to when you're doing not only audit but any service as a CPA. Now, we will learn that you require independence, that's the I of your tip whenever you're doing an audit engagement. But let's say when you're doing taxes, you're doing consulting, or you're doing compilations, you are not required to be independent. So independence is required as part of GAAS when you're doing audit or attest services, but when you're doing non-attest services, you are not required to be independent. In those cases, the AICPA code requires you to have integrity and objectivity. Guys, understand, though you're not independent, you still have integrity and objectivity. After all, you are CPAs. Now, that's for non-issuers. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the multi-billion-dollar corporate frauds by Enron in the early 2000s. As we have the Big Four today, back in those days, we had the Big Five, and Arthur Andersen was one of the biggest among the Big Five. Now, with the crash of Enron and few other companies like WorldCom, investors totally lost their trust on the US securities market and public companies. Even Arthur Andersen, one of the Big Five back then, had to surrender their CPA license and there was trouble everywhere. Now, to restore confidence, the US government came out with a bunch of very strict rules for issuers and the auditors of issuers. Issuers means companies which issue securities. Yes, you got it right. We're talking about public companies. So the US government came out with an act in 2002 which is called the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, or SOX. Now, apart from other stringent regulations, SOX created the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, or the PCAOB. So we have the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board coming out of SOX. Now, Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, or the PCAOB, regulates the auditors of issuers. What the PCAOB did was, initially they said we will use the GAAS audit standards, but slowly we would add more stringent requirements to all these standards. So that became the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board's auditing standards, or PCAOB AS. So guys, this is GAAS plus more. Now, note again that the PCAOB standards and the SOX and SEC regulations apply only to issuers. Now, SEC stands for the Securities and Exchange Commission, which enforces the securities laws in the US. So you have SEC coming out with SOX in 2002, SOX creating the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, the Accounting Oversight Board making sure it regulates the auditors of those issuers, and you have a separate bunch of auditing standards when you're going out and doing an audit for issuers. For the ethics code, when you're dealing with issuers as CPAs, you not only adhere to the AICPA code, but you have some additional rules coming out of SOX and SEC regulations. So this is all about US. Non-issuers, non-public companies, issuers, public companies. Now, a lot of countries other than the US follow the international standards of auditing established by the International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board. Also, the international auditors and practitioners adhere to the IESBA code. So you have IESBA standing for International Ethics Standards Boards for Accountants. Now, both the IAASB and IESBA are boards of the International Federation of Accountants, IFAC. So you have IFAC having these two boards, the IAASB board as well as the IESBA board. So IAASB established audit standards, IESBA establishes code of ethics. So the IFAC, or the International Federation of Accountants, is a global organization with 164 members across 124 countries. Now, the AICPA and our very own ICAI are also among those 164 members of the IFAC. So, as you can understand, this is dealing with international. This is US, this is out of the US international standards of auditing by the International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, and you have the IESBA code, or the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants. So guys, we are all set. In Audit 1, we'll talk in detail about these standards as well as ethics, what applies. In general, our focus is on the general tip, and we are looking at the eye of the tip, which is independence. So when you're looking at audit engagements, you're talking about independence. When you're looking at non-attest engagements, you're looking at integrity and objectivity. On page 2 of Audit 1, we're looking at the framework for auditing standards as well as professional conduct. So auditing for non-issuers, that's supposed to be done as per highlight GAAS, which is basically the AICPA's SAS, or the Statements on Auditing Standards. However, the moment we're looking at auditing for issuers, it is as per highlight PCAOB auditing standards, and that's like GAAS++. Now draw arrows down from GAAS and up from PCAOB auditing standards, and right there, odd 0, 1.3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because we're going to be studying auditing from Audit 1 through Audit 7. And our primary focus is going to be on auditing standards. We're going to look at auditing standards for non-issuers, that's GAAS. And then we're going to compare and contrast it with the PCAOB auditing standards for issuers. Now, CPAs need to adhere to the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct while providing services to their clients. And we'll cover the AICPA Code in Audit 1.1. And then when we talk about services that CPAs can provide to issuers, not only does the AICPA Code apply, but SOX regulations start applying, SEC regulations apply. And we're going to cover all these requirements specific to issuers in Audit 1.2 and 1.4. We'll also spend some time talking about international standards of auditing and the IESBA Code of Conduct. And all this is in Audit 1.6. We will look at US government auditing, that's GAGAS, Generally Accepted Government Auditing Standards, in Audit 7.3. We look at a few non-audit engagements as well. We'll talk about attestation, that's SSAE, Statements on Standards for Attestation Engagements, in Audit 7.2. We'll talk about accounting and review services, SSARS, in Audit 7.1. Move to page 3. And we know that auditors need to comply with GAAS when auditing non-issuers. So there, non-issuers equals SAS AU-C, which is based on GAAS. Highlight Auditing Standards Board ASB of the AICPA develops and issues GAAS in the form of statements on auditing standards. And SAS is codified into AU-C sections. AU, that's the first two letters of the word audit. C, that came in with a clarified SAS. C stands for clarity. Now for issuers, auditors need to comply with the PCAOB auditing standards. So right there, issuers equals PCAOB AS. Highlight Public Company Accounting Oversight Board or the PCAOB. It was established pursuant to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act of 2002. And public accounting firms must register with the PCAOB to audit a public company.